and welcome to Startup Central. I'm Nayanthara Rai, working from home in New Delhi. This is the only show of its kind on Indian television, dedicated, of course, to startups, technology, innovation, disruption. Ladies and gentlemen, we're never going to see a bigger disruption than coronavirus, at least in our lifetime. That's what the pundits say. Sequoia Capital calls it the black swan, or is it the white swan? But keep writing into us. Tell us how you're managing your business, your startup during coronavirus. What we've also seen is the Indian government now swiftly ban 59 Chinese apps, including the very popular TikTok. This is, of course, thanks to the tensions that we've been seeing at the border. It follows a move of the government also deciding it wants to pre-screen fresh Chinese investments into the country. Remember, many unicorns in India have exposure to Chinese companies like Alibaba and Tencent. So what does it mean when you ban an app like TikTok? What does it mean when you ban 59 of them? Is that leaving a huge opportunity for the Indian ecosystem? I'm going to be discussing that and a lot more with my guest today. I'm being joined by the co-founder of Chingari, Sumit. Incidentally, you might have all seen Anand Mahindra's tweet where he said he's never downloaded TikTok, but he has downloaded Sumit's app. I'm also being joined by Saket Modi from Letitia, very well known when it comes to data protection. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here. Sumit, I'll come to you first because today is your day. I saw your tweet, the kind of records that have been shattered. TikTok's loss, your gain?
We never expected this kind of action that will happen we obviously were gaining popularity because of the boycott China sentiment, growing across in the country. But we never really thought that such a moment will come. This is basically the demonetization moment for Paytm, which gave them a huge bump in users. It's a very similar event for us in our product lifetime, our journeys, our journey, and really excited about it. All the TikTok users are flocking into Chingari right now because in a social media, social media product, influencers need to get in early so that they can build up their profiles and get quick followers so that they have a bigger reach. So and influencers know this. So that is the reason we are seeing a lot of surge in the signups, and they quickly want to join Chingari and become influencers there and have a massive reach when Chingari replaces TikTok or becomes the next big social network of India.
Okay, but do you want to share with our viewers how big and solid the response actually has been?
So we have been growing at, yesterday we had been growing at 100,000 downloads every hour. As soon as the news broke out that TikTok will be banned, there was a massive surge. Our servers crashed. We worked with the AWS team whole night to put systems on auto scale, fire up bigger servers, and get things up and running. Now at the moment when I'm speaking, I'm looking at the stats. We are adding 200,000 users every hour. So it's growing at a incredible speed. Pretty excited about it. Pretty happy about this.
Okay, so you are clearly on a tear. The surge, literally like your app is on steroids. Saket Modi, let me come to you now. You want to first tell me what you make of this move by the Indian government to ban 59 apps. You have someone like Vijay Shekhar Sharma as well, who's got Chinese investors on board. He's India's poster boy when it comes to the startups space, saying this is an excellent move in national interest. Can I get your reactions on it? You understand data sovereignty, you understand data protection. Heck, you're building a business around it, which has got investors like John Chambers on board. What did you think of this move?
Sure. First of all, again, thank you for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to be here, Nayanthara. To your question, I think if we just take a little bit of a step back in terms of understanding the decision, it basically says that because the government of India feels that the data is being misused of the Indian users, it is going ahead and banning these 59 apps which are there on the App Store. Now, as Indians, we can all celebrate that and see that the government's proactive way of looking at protecting the data. However, the thing is also that it does open up a Pandora's box, because today it's reason A because of which the apps are banned. Tomorrow there can be reason B because of the apps are banned. The good news out here, which I see, is the center of this debate or the center of this discussion is around user privacy or the security of data, and how, let's take Chingari as an example, or any other app as an example. It'll be incredible for them to be able to build a platform, but if now they'll be building a platform, they will always think about data security in the heart, because they know what happens today to a TikTok can happen today to any other platform or any other application if they don't look at cybersecurity or data privacy in a very, very serious way. So I think it's a very positive move, because it brings the real responsibility of the owners of the applications, saying that, look, if I'm taking somebody's data, I better be responsible for their data. Having said that, the place where I think this decision could have been better is not by just saying that because we feel that these apps are violating privacy, we are banning them. Giving a very clear, crisp definition of what is the meaning of violation, and saying that, look, these apps take an access of these 6 permissions, using which they don't need those permissions to operate, but they're still taking that and using it to their advantage. Or even if they're taking that to operate, but that can be damaging for our national security, I think that degree of definition or that degree of statement is still missing. And the only reason why that's of worry is because today we are happy because as Indians, we see all the apps, Indian apps, which will be going up. But remember, it can tomorrow fire on an Indian app saying that the government feels this app is playing around with the privacy of data, and therefore it needs to be banned, which will not be good. So I would say double clicking on that would be very crucial, and hopefully we would expect that to come from the ministry very, very soon. Nayantara.
So let me come back. Sumit, let me come to you then. How long had you been developing this app? I'm going to ask our producer to also show a tweet that went viral. It was by none other than Anand Mahindra saying he's not downloaded TikTok, but he's downloaded your app. How long have you been building this? And is your idea based on TikTok?
So we have been building this app for almost 2 years. If you see our Play Store beta, we launched the beta around November 2018, and we have been iterating from there. The idea was to build a super app of India, not a clone of TikTok. Actually, during that time, even TikTok had not entered India. The app was called Musically, which was a US-based startup for short videos, and TikTok acquired Musically, and then combined all its users into TikTok. So ByteDance is the parent company there. Now, so we evolved from short content. We also added news because we saw that a lot of users were also reading news. So that was giving us attention, and also hook. It was a user hook. And we also have games which increase user engagement. So Chingari is TikTok plus news and games. Is not like people are billing it as a TikTok clone, which is a good thing to be. But it is a lot more than just being a short video platform. Having said that, just to add, so the data, talking about the data privacy, all the all the data that we collect are stored in Indian data centers of AWS. So there is not really a privacy issue that can be taken into account here. But specifically in case of Chinese apps, these apps are collecting data and then moving this data back into China or Chinese data centers, and which would also be a clear violation of the data privacy bill has been already tabled in Parliament and will pass very soon. So I think for Indian startups or Make in India startups, since we are already ensuring that our user data is stored in data centers inside India. Data privacy will not be it will not be a challenge. We just need to ensure that we completely follow and adhere to the data privacy bill that is being passed, and then I think Indian startups should be with that.
Okay, that's very, very encouraging to hear. And can I ask you, has your backend been in place for the kind of downloads that you've seen? Have you been able to manage the traffic?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's been some sleepless nights for the whole team, especially after yesterday. Like so I told you, like we had been working, with AWS team very closely, with the DevOps very closely, and getting our infrastructure ready for the kind of surge that we are expecting now, especially when TikTok will be actually removed from the Play Store. The surge will be like 10x of what it is now, and we have scaled our infra for that, and we are ready for the surge. We are ready for the traffic. Like, bring it on.
Okay, and Saket, you've just heard what all I can say the man of the day has to say. Look at the traffic that he's received. Never anticipated that this was going to happen. His journey is 2 years old. So, as a guy who's into data protection, whose business is into data protection as well, any advice that you may have for Sumit?
Certainly. First of all, this is heartening to know. As a fellow entrepreneur, many, many congratulations, Sumit. They say it takes years of hard work to become an overnight success, and I think that's where you are. So many congratulations. Just a quick point, that should be kept in mind is less than 10% of hacks happen because you stored the data in the wrong data center. 90% of the hacks, and I'm just saying this intuitively, it might actually be more than 90% of the attacks, but 90% plus attacks happen because there was a flaw which was there, or a gap or a vulnerability that was left open in your application, in your S3 bucket, in your EC2 instance, in any of your infrastructure or application, basically. And more than 90% of the hacks happen. So what I would say is, it's very, very good from a data sovereignty perspective that we've got the Indian users' data in a data center which is in India. But remember, the way internet works, to access a data center from India to China is literally 20 milliseconds, right? So it really doesn't matter. The only difference is, if the Indian government wanted to get some data from the Chinese data center, it wouldn't have been able to get it. While if the Chinese government would have wanted to get it, it would have been much easily able to get that. So that is definitely an advantage, but that's very, very minor cases, where a number of times where the Chinese government would actually want to do that, at least from what we know publicly. So I would say that as users, we absolutely should be happy that our data is being stored in India, but at the same time, asking questions around how secure is the app itself, how secure is the infrastructure, is the bigger question. And 90% plus attacks happen because of that, and not where the data is stored anywhere in the world. Nantara.
Sumit, is this something that you're paranoid about as well? And now you're doing so fantastically well in India, and just given the situation we are in, the geopolitical tensions that exist in the world, do you have global aspirations?
Of course, of course. I mean, in fact, we are seeing a lot of surge, from Middle East, and I'm sure these are like Indians in the Middle East who are watching our content. We are seeing a lot of users from also Southeast Asia. We are doing an analysis, demographic analysis of and geographic analysis of what kind of users these are. So of course we have aspirations outside India, but India itself is a huge, I mean, it's a huge territory to win first. So the goal and the learnings that we will get from winning India, or capturing 150 million plus users in India, will give us a lot of learnings about how to go global as well, and build this company out. And
Saket, I also want to ask you one question. What is going to be the impact of the move that we have seen on the ban on 59 Chinese apps? Like for example, Anil Luni has taken to Twitter to actually say that, you can say what you want about the investors on board, whether it's a Paytm, for example, or Zomato. These are Indian entities. They're legally registered in India. They're based here. They do their work here. So, this entire rhetoric that we're also seeing about Chinese investors in unicorns, in Indian startups, where do you stand on that when it comes to the entire issue of data sovereignty and national interest?
I personally feel, Nandara, it really is a function of the influence that the investor has on the board and on the company. Now, if a company is owned 90% by any investor, I'm not saying Chinese investor, any investor, they would want to use that data to whatever their advantage that can be, right? Now, whether that's influenced by the government that they're regulated by, or it can be their parent company's top line or bottom line, I think it really, it doesn't matter. But on the other side, if there are investors which are not the primary owners and there's somebody else on the operational seat which is there, I don't think there's too much to worry about, because it's like, if you're publicly listed, for example, you can't control who buys your stocks. But then if somebody buys a majority stock of your company, then you definitely need to have a conversation with them of what's going on. So I don't think that it's too much of an issue. And the second thing is, most of the companies which have invested in India are pretty global companies by themselves, which are, let's take Alibaba as an example. So, they're also listed in the American stock exchanges and things around that. So that's another angle that, if things come out publicly that, they're not doing something which is in the interest of, global open ecosystem, that will have a drastic impact in their stock prices. And I don't think they would be taking a risk of that kind, especially anywhere outside China, where the news can really spread out very fast. So I don't think there's too much to be worried about out there. And that's what my take is. Nandara.
Okay, so that's the point that what you said, and I think that's also what maybe Vijay Shekhar Sharma was also trying to get at in the series of tweets that he's actually put out. First of all, he says it's a bold move. And he's I remember I did this webinar with him. He said, I'm as Indian as it gets. In fact, maybe it was vested interests that actually started this entire troll campaign on Paytm being Chinese or Japanese. Sumit, I know you're going to have a meeting and you'll have to log off soon. So the question I want to ask you is that after the phenomenal run that you've had recently, especially after Anand Mahindra's tweet and what we saw today, are you being chased by investors? Is your phone just busy with investors chasing you?
I mean, the feeling is like the guy named Richard Hendricks of Silicon Valley, in the very popular show of HBO. So yeah, I mean I mean, Twitter inbox is popping, WhatsApp is popping, email is popping with VCs. So obviously, with the kind of scale that we have had, and in such a quick run, a lot of VC interest is there. We are also looking to partner with take a good partner on board, because definitely money will be needed to build a company, because this is a video intensive app. So like a lot of infrastructure, hosting, and those kind of costs will be there. So a lot of money will be needed, to build a large company. So we are actively talking to VCs, marquee VCs, Ps. Let's see. Nantara.
So are you going to raise funds for all the various plans that you may have? You've come into publicity. What is next for you after this surge in traffic?
Yeah, we'll probably be announcing around by end of this month. So we are in advanced talks with. Can't reveal much on television, but once we once we have something concrete on papers, we'll be announcing soon. all I can say now is that yeah, we'll be announcing something really soon.
Okay, and tell me something, and I'm sure even Saket will want to know this if he hasn't downloaded the app as yet. So tell our viewers who haven't done it as yet, what's so special about your app? Why is it in the limelight today? Is it a Me Too of TikTok, or is it actually very localized, very different, very Indian?
So, as I told this before, the idea was not to build a Me Too of TikTok. The idea was to build a super app for India, or I would say a WeChat of India. But then while doing research, market research, user analysis, and collecting insights about what is going on in the tier two and tier three India, we collected these insights that what kind of content they are consuming. So short video was something that we found that users consume. So we started with that. And then we added news and also games. So the idea is to also add live streaming in future. Um, so our short video portion of the app is an exact replica of TikTok, except it's AR filters, and the team is working on that. We'll roll it out soon. So basically, we are an only exact replica of. So I'm sorry, we are an only exact replica of TikTok available in the Indian market right now for users, and that is the reason why users are flocking to us and not going to other clone apps or other apps which have some basic camera functionality with some basic filters. The creator tools is what differentiates us from others in the market or others in the space, and that is our USP right now. And if you see the journey of TikTok, taking off. So all these other apps, Roposo, ShareChat, all these other apps were trying to build at the same time of TikTok. But TikTok really took off and had a massive install base, massive engagement, and they were able to monetize much better than the ShareChats and Roposos of the world because of this the short video creation. And that is something that we are also bullish about, and we want to do it better than anyone else. The next step is obviously onboarding creators, creators getting them reach in the platform, making them into big influencers like they were on TikTok. And obviously, once you have influencers and you give them distribution, you give them reach, their followers will come and consume the content. So it fills the viral loop of content creation and content consumption.
Okay. So all the very best, Sumit. I know that you have another appointment and that I only got time with you till 6:22. I think I've crossed it by about 2 minutes. But thank you so much. Congratulations. All the very best. Look forward to many more interviews with you. Saket, let me come to you now. The question I
Sure.
want to ask is, and a lot of people, the naysayers who are saying, why is the government doing this? It's not needed. So I'm playing devil's advocate here. And the question I want to ask you is that if China can say, no Google, no WhatsApp, no Facebook, or if they're going to be there, they're going to be in this avatar, you can only have this, you can't have that. Is this India's moment of maybe saying that, no, this is going to be our response? And is this the way things are going to progress now globally in the post-COVID world? Because as people look more inward, in the post-COVID world, when all countries are becoming more protectionist as well, a paranoia also about privacy, is this the way it's going to be, where you're going to have global giants who perhaps are going to have to localize in every country? I'm not even getting into data localization and storage of data.
Sure. Let me go in the reverse order of what you asked, Nantara. Starting from storing data locally, remember the US has taken that to the next level where they don't talk about just storage in the country. They actually now have privacy laws specific to each state. So you actually have that being broken down, and that's becoming a big problem for a lot of companies out there. To your question around, is this how we become China? Is this how, considering China bans and censors so many applications, is this our answer to that? I would not go that far for a simple reason that, firstly, having seen the world, especially seeing why Silicon Valley, and now India catching up and hopefully even beating them in the years to come, given we've got a strategy on startups and young companies. I would not want us to look at China as a role model where you actually have things in a closed way. Because we need to remember the way China works as a country and what most of the world works, especially countries like India and US. We are very, very different. And I don't think that is the way in which, they're supposed to lead our way to that. That's the reason why I mentioned in the initial part of the show also that it is I am personally I'm in favor of the decision, just not, and the places where I feel the government can do better is really double click on the decision and say, what do they define when it comes to privacy violation of customers on those applications which is there? And by the way, there are too many of them. I don't think the government will have any hard time saying that, because in terms of the permissions that they take, you'll be surprised, right? 80% of the popular applications which are there on your phone, they all access your clipboard. You know what's a clipboard? When you copy text from one messaging app to the other, that gets copied on something called a clipboard. Whenever you open any application, it automatically reads the clipboard and again uses that to profile you. Now, is that privacy violation? Absolutely, because most people don't even know that the clipboard's data was just taken by the application you just touched on, and it might be your passwords, it might be some confidential data which you don't want. So these are examples where I don't think the government has been very clear in going ahead and saying what exactly needs to be, or what exactly is the reason why they consider this as a privacy violation. And I think that is expected, because remember, we are not China where we can't just say, I wish to ban you and you're banned from tomorrow. That's not the right way of doing it. Having said that, apps which will not take privacy seriously, they need to be banned, is the big message here, which I'm all in for.
Okay. Thanks, Saket, as always, for putting all that in perspective. It's always great talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us on this edition of Startup Central. We are completely out of time. So it's a goodbye from the entire team. See you same time tomorrow.